If you'd like to see more of our videos, hit the subscribe button to stay on top of the market news. Good morning, traders. Welcome to today's market review. This is Razak at CMtrading. Today's August 14, 2020. And today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the NASDAQ creating an upside down head and shoulder formation. But first, let's take a look at the economic events of the day. We have one event coming out of the United States at 2:30 South African time, monthly retail sales numbers coming out, and that might perk up the market just furthermore. However, looking at the balance of the summer, next week we don't have any economic events scheduled as we get to the latter part of the heart of the summer, as trading volume is expected to be low. Until now, it's been relatively active, despite the fact that summer is usually a much lighter volume time frame. Okay, but coming into September, I expect the markets to perk up with the volume even further, especially as we're going into the elections coming up in November. Now, looking at the various markets, the Forex symbols pretty much tapering off at lighter volume on the upper edge. And looking at the indices, the Dow Jones pretty much unchanged, and the NASDAQ trading higher and creating that upside down head and shoulder. In just a second, we'll take a look at it. And looking at the commodities, gold pretty much steady, while oil unchanged. And lastly, what pushed up the NASDAQ higher is Apple. Okay, we're going to take a look at some of the other stocks as well. So let's see what we can expect from today's trading. So we're going to first start out with the Euro USD at a 4-hour chart, and you can see we're pretty much in a 150 pip range, okay, which is decent, okay, very decent to be trading under. A little bit more than that, between this 118.50 to 80-ish level, let's say, and then 117-ish level over the past week. Now, this has consolidated at these levels, okay, and really just flirting with this resistance-ish area. Now, this is a resistance-ish area, but if we look at a longer time frame just to see that and just to absorb it, okay, that's where we're at. We're hitting this several times, but not closing above this 118.11-ish level and just sustaining that. Okay, if it does, then we could see further breakout. But for now, it may be that we'll consolidate and then maybe retrace a little bit, but that's yet to be seen and yet to be proven. Now, looking at GBP USD, same story. We're consolidating at this upper limit. Got to look at a daily chart to really absorb this. And there is a decent amount of resistance at this 131.60-ish level. That's a little bit further than that, but 132, 131.60-ish level, there is a resistance-ish level. Now, we're flirting with this moving average, the 14-day moving average. If we do break it, we may find ourselves anywhere between these two moving averages, between the 30 and the 14 moving average. Now, looking at the USD Rand, it did taper off at that level, 1761 down to 1738. And that's to be expected, okay? That was decent enough of a resistance-ish level starting right there. Now, jumping into Aussie dollar, also quiet at these resistance-ish level, not breaking above it. So it'd be interesting to see if we do consolidate and then retrace a little bit. Now, looking at gold, you can see that we're tapering off with the volume, okay? And we're tapering off with the volatility as we've been between this 1960 and 1950-ish area over the past day. Now, looking at at a 4-hour chart, let's just take a look at it. I mean, this has been really very, very aggressively volatile over the last 2 weeks. We had the first run up, okay? That's classic, okay? This was especially a run up right before the CPI number. Okay, now remember, there's two reasons people invest in gold. One, because it's a safe haven from the volatility and the craziness in the market, where there's a little bit of cloud and not clarity as to which way the economy is going. And number two, because of inflation. Now, there was an anticipated inflationary concern, and that's what drew gold so much higher. After that concern was pretty much tapered off, we saw that sell-off, okay? Now, this was a 50% sell-off, okay, which is a beautiful Fibonacci retracement level. Okay, we've had that several times, even sold off to the support level of 1855, and then bounced off of it. So right now, we're in 1950. Now, this could consolidate in this area. It could sell off right now. So I don't want to jump in it just yet. I want to see how it unfolds going into the latter part of the summer. Now, jumping into Dow Jones, okay, now this has been really very, very strong, consolidating at the upper limit, but not breaking it out higher. This is a daily chart. Okay, what I'd like to see is really it breaking out to the 28,200-ish level above that area, okay, to really push this higher. Now, it might not happen today, and might not happen, okay, especially as we go to the latter part of the summer. into elections next week. Now, looking at the NASDAQ, and this is what we spoke about earlier about the upside down head and shoulder. There's your head. That's one shoulder, and that's your second shoulder right there. And that is usually a bullish, okay, formation. Now, it does need to break above this area, above its previous resistance-ish area to really get that confirmation. But especially if we do get this breakout right there, then I expect us to go up to 11,500, okay, for sure, okay, at least 11,500, maybe even more, okay. So something to consider going into today's trading, and the volume backs it here, okay. We had all the right elements to have this formation, but this may still fail because this is a significant resistance at the 11,200-ish level, okay, 276. So something to consider. Keep your eye on this because this is going to be really interesting, especially if Apple continues to push higher later today. Now, looking at Apple, we're right on the tops, okay. 461 is where we were. We traded all the way down to 450-ish level. I mean, this thing has really been very, very strong. 435 and then challenged that 461 and making that new high of 461 yesterday. So if this continues to go higher, then it could push the NASDAQ even higher to the 11,500, maybe 600 area. Now, looking at the other tech stocks, they're not breaking out, okay? Facebook is right there. It's not really on its highs. Amazon, not really on its highs. Okay, looking like it's setting up this resistance-ish area, 3230-ish area. Incidentally, Jeff Bezos, who's the CEO of Amazon, is selling a hell of a lot of stock, okay, at this area, and that's usually a warning sign. So that may be a beginning to the end of this craziness that Amazon has been experiencing. So something to consider and keep into the back of your head. This is Fred Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.